Hey everyone, this is my first edition of Coffee with the Geek at NiceGate 2014. I've been here at the Startup Weekend, which is kind of a pre-event before the official NiceGate conference, and with me is Andrea Tejedor and Mark Hennis. They've been the driving force behind Startup Weekend. So first of all, could you just introduce your roles, and then we'll talk about Startup and how it's going.
Introduce our roles for Startup Weekend?
Well, introduce who you are first.
Oh, okay. Andrea Tejedor, and I am the Director of Innovation and Instructional Technology for the Highland Falls Fort Montgomery Central School District.
And I'm Mark Hennis. I work at the Capital Area Intermediate Unit, which is right near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I'm the Special Project Supervisor there.
We're at day 3 of Startup. Tell us about, first of all, the organizational process real quick, what Startup was.
In terms of how we got to this
Yep.
point. So we had an organizing committee for Startup Weekend education here in Rochester. I met Mark in January at the Startup Weekend education in New York City. And I was so excited about the process and about the learning opportunities that Startup really presented, that I went to some people at NiceGate and I asked them if they would be interested in doing a Startup Weekend EDU as a precursor event to the annual conference. And I got the green light. And so I reached out to Mark because he had experience with it. And then I reeled you in. and that's sort of how we got to this point, with lots of planning, as you both know, starting with the second Monday of September and meeting every Monday night at 7:30 since then, and really putting the pieces together. You want to add to that?
Yeah, and so in case folks don't know, Startup Weekend Education is a subset of the entire Startup Weekend movement. And that whole movement is both a national and now an international movement to foster and grow new startup organizations. It's really an effort to support entrepreneurs at the very start of their organization, when they just have an idea and they're just trying to figure out their business plan and just trying to figure out who their customers are. Startup Weekend is a very focused 54-hour event to help them rapidly get through that process.
And I think it's important that that's a piece of it, but it's also about a new way of thinking, really wrapping your head around this notion of innovation and design, and how that thinking can empower you to really embrace opportunities that you may not have seen before, and sort of unearth problems and solutions that you don't typically approach in this way. So I think for me especially, it's really about that process and the thinking that goes into this. So you don't have to come to a Startup Weekend with your own idea to pitch or anything like that. You can come with, especially for teachers, it's important for them to know that they could jump into this at any time, because they're the ones on the front line identifying the problems, if you will, in the classroom. So that's why it's so important to have teachers involved with these events.
Yeah, I love that term empowerment, because it really is about empowering the teachers to be a part of the solution.
Yeah.
So many of us have walked through exhibit halls. So many of us have gotten some product or device handed to us, and it's good, but it would be great if it did that. This is the opportunity for the education community to have input in that at the start, at the beginning, when ideas are first being formed, and be a part of that process moving forward.
We're at the kind of tail end. We're about to go through the judging of the final ideas. Can you just tell us how the days went from Friday, Saturday? Just give us a summary of what the participants have been through.
Go ahead.
Sure. So we started Friday evening, was a pitch night. We had about 25 people that were invited to give pitches. I think we had 9 pitches. 12 pitches that were given Friday night.
Great.
The audience, it's a very participative event, very participative through the entire weekend. The audience was allowed to vote on which of those 12 ideas would move forward through the process. We quickly narrowed that down to 6. We formed 6 teams. Each team focused on their own idea, their own process. Teams had calls out for support. I need developers, I need business people, I need all of this. Through Friday night, all day Saturday, they worked on these ideas. We have coaches and mentors that have been available throughout the weekend. There's been a lot of focused time between the coaches supporting them, listening to our ideas. Hey, that would be great, but don't forget about this. All that went on through Saturday. Now, Sunday has been very interesting. We've had each of the teams has had an opportunity to actually rehearse their pitch with a focus group of coaches and mentors. And I think there's like 6 coaches and mentors with a variety of backgrounds offering their advice and tips to these teams as they prep for the final pitches.
Yep. And that'll happen at 3:30 this afternoon. So anybody's welcome to come on over at the Riverside, the Radisson Riverside, second floor.
Ballroom.
And the ballroom, yes, in the ballroom on the second floor. And
Riverside Terrace Ballroom.
okay,
To be exact.
there we go. And so anybody's welcome to come and hear the pitches. We have we had 6 teams we started with. I don't know where we're going to end up with those actually coming through the pitches, but at least 4. And then the winner of the weekend will be announced at the banquet later on this evening.
This is an exciting time. This is an opportunity for teachers and educators and anyone in the community, anyone who's listening in, opportunity to see a company being born.
Right.
One of the mentors showed some slides last night about how Amazon started and how a lot of other startups, just kind of came from these ideas. The Startup Weekend is a national and now international global movement is starting the next generation of companies. It's an exciting opportunity to see that happen.
Yeah, it really is.
What do you think is the number one takeaway for you, maybe as organizers, and then for participants?
For me as an organizer, it was just about really reaching out to people. I wish we had more educators involved with the event. I think that it would have made it even more powerful. But the people that we did have here, to see the focus and the commitment and really the power of their ideas and the sharing and how the ideas evolved through the design process over the weekend was fascinating. And for participants, just again, to feel that sense of being involved in creation and really thinking, how can we help teachers and students to, be a part of the solution in education.
And you mentioned earlier the empowerment piece.
Yeah,
I'll add the entrepreneur piece.
Yep.
A lot of us teach it in the classroom. A lot of us encourage our students to do it. This is our opportunity as educators to actually experience it and be a part of it. That entrepreneurial spirit. I know you came here as an organizer and you wound up giving a pitch and your team's going to go through. It's just, it's being a part of the solutions.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to live that design process.
Right. And I can hit on that as as being part of it as presenter and pitcher and being part of that team. It really did. It opened my eyes to the business sector as educators. We know it's out there. We know how it works, but to get those connections and actually talk and see what is market analysis. How do we find out if our product really is something that's needed? We think it is, but so I know as a participant now, I can see the value and it just opened my eyes to a whole different level. So I think it's been a great success, and I look forward to hearing more about this and keeping in touch. I'm looking forward to Mandela's keynote speech this evening, so make sure you come out and see her, Mandela Shoemaker-Hodge, who's the
she's the director of the education unit of Up Global and oversees all of the Startup Weekends EDU that happen internationally now.
Yeah, and I interviewed her before, so if you're looking for something to check out, check it out. So,
perfect example.
So let's just talk real quick, geek to geek. What are you looking to see at the conference this year?
I'd like to see stuff about Google Classroom and how people are really pulling that off. I'm very interested in that.
I'm excited to see the various techniques using technology for blended learning. We're doing a lot of that down in our intermediate unit. We're trying to lead our 24 districts in the blended learning. So I'm interested to learn a lot of the techniques and the technologies that are best to make that happen.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Andy.
Thanks, everybody.